My name is Ifeoluwa Ajibayo, and I'm one of the senior project nurses within corporate nursing in Leeds Teaching Hospitals. Um, the Stay and Thrive has really been a great platform, like I have said, to help me support my international, nurses who have come into Health THT. It has provided a lot of, knowledge and a lot of understanding, and it has helped me to understand the nuances again. Even though I'm an international nurse myself, I keep learning new things on the Stay and Thrive. So thank you, Stay and Thrive, for the wonderful work. Started our international nurse recruitment in 2020, January 2020 precisely. So just around the same time COVID started. And we have over 800 of them till date. And of course, when we started with very little numbers. So I'm talking like maybe 10, 15 thereabouts. But now we're actually recruiting about, 100 and 150 at this point. And one of the things we realized quickly at the beginning was that we had to create, a plan regarding how we can, strategically support our nurses. There were a lot of things that we didn't understand at the beginning, so it was a steep learning curve, although I joined in between. But I know that at the beginning there were a lot of issues around, things that we not normally think about, like transportation here, how they navigate that, things like, setting up their own bank accounts. You'll be surprised at how difficult that can be for people who are new to the UK, getting their own accommodation. So those were some of the things that we picked up quickly. And of course, we also discovered that there was a lot of information for the nurses to take in. So at that point, and it all seemed very overwhelming for them. So what we then did was we created our own, sort of welcome to the UK brochure. And then we would usually send it to the nurses even before they arrive. We would get the accommodation ready. So we'll go there, prepare the room for them. So we used to give accommodation for 12 weeks. So they'll have free accommodation for 12 weeks. And then they'll try and get their own accommodation after that. And what we do as part of that is we provide them with sort of a reference letter that they can take to letting agents to say that they're working with us. We don't have any problems, they shouldn't be having any problems with paying their rent and all of that, because those are usually very important things, especially because they don't have a credit history in the UK. The very first week they arrive, we had the welcome week for 5 days. And as part of that, we will provide sort of like a cultural awareness, training, where we'll talk to them about, what it means to be in the UK, the issues with language, culture, differences, and all of those things. And it's usually a very big program because different people come into it. I do the cultural integration bit, for example, because that sits with me. But then there are also a lot of people within the organization who come into that meeting during that week. They talk about things like, occupational health, how to access GPs, getting their bank accounts, who to go to, all of those things. We do it as part of the welcome week. We also bring in some of our clinical leads who come to talk about, how we practice in the UK, the NHS, our values as a trust, talk about the NHS constitution and all of those things to give them a good grounding. And then the other side of it is that they have a boot camp. We call it boot camp because it's very, very quick. It's almost as if you're in the army, and it's 4 weeks of, very strict timetables around how they will sort of do their training. Because when they arrive, they have to do their husky before they can get their PIN to get on the NMC register. So what we then do is that we plan a husky boot camp for about 6 weeks. As part of that, they also we do a mock exam for them. So we do a mock husky to prepare them for the real NMC exams, husky exams that they will be going for. So as part of that, we support them because we now have an international hub actually. My team used to do that previously, but now because we've had so many nurses and that is still ongoing, we have an international hub and we have people who are now dedicated to teaching them and supporting them as part of that journey. Again, for our nurses, we have the link forum. We call it the Leeds International Nurse Connection Forum. And that has sort of been born out of, some of the surveys that we've done, where nurses feel like when they arrive, they get a lot of support from corporate nursing. But what then happens is once they go on the wards into their clinical areas, they feel like they're left alone and they don't really have that bond and that contact, especially with a lot of issues that they have to grapple with at the beginning. So we have the link forum, which we use to support them. And it's a monthly meeting that we have, every month for about 2 hours. Usually our deputy chief nurse or one of the nursing directors would come there and talk about, operational plans, what's going on in the organization at the minute operationally. And then we'll usually have speakers who come to speak about different topics, and we invite external speakers depending on what it is. For example, we talk about NMC. We've been talking about NMC revalidation recently because a lot of our first cohort of nurses are now getting to the point where they will be revalidating. So and then again, the other things we do is that we prepare. We have actually structured programs. For example, one of them is the Legit. It's the leading excellent globally inclusive teams, where our managers are actually, supported to really understand the differences now that we have a lot of international nurses within our hospitals, and so that they can understand how they might have to sort of, manage them differently with an understanding of the differences and the fact that they are still transitioning. One of the I think the greatest things that we've been able to do as regards supporting our nurses is creating a cultural awareness program now. And in fact, not only for the nurses, it's generally for the trust. And I think we are the first really doing that as an organization, creating a bespoke training. So now it's gone on our ESR and is made local compulsory for every leader. It's not even clinical alone. We've made it wide, and it's generated a lot of interest now to the point where we are now sort of working with NHS England actually nationally to develop its own curriculum around cultural awareness, and that has sort of helped to encourage more conversations around our differences, but most importantly, what are the things that bring us together and how we can sort of explore that and use that to sort of empower ourselves and empower our colleagues and be more inclusive in the way we sort of manage staff within the organization.